Yeah, with a 4-year-old, you'll use one hand, just like as part of your hand. Because up until 1-year-old, you'll use 2 fingers. Alright, so we'll start from the beginning. Say you walk in, it doesn't look like Kendall's breathing, maybe her color is off. To check for responsiveness, you'll tap the soles of her feet, shout her name. Kendall, are you okay? The one thing you don't want to do, and some parents get nervous, is pick her up and shake her, try to wake her up and cause brain damage. So you'll tap the soles of her feet, shout her name, because the soles of her feet are real sensitive. If she doesn't wake up, she's not breathing, and there's no response, you're going to start CPR. Now, if there's 2 people in the house, one person will do CPR, the other person will go call 911. If you're by yourself, you're going to do 2 minutes of CPR and then call 911. And the way to estimate 2 minutes without having to look at a clock, 2 minutes is approximately 5 cycles of CPR. 1 cycle of CPR consists of 30 compressions and 2 breaths. That would be 1 cycle. When you've done that 5 times, that's about 2 minutes. So to begin CPR, you can either hold her or have her on a hard surface, not on a bed, because the bed is too soft. You're going to start off with compressions. You're going to find her nipple line, go across to the center of the chest, 2 fingers down, and you can either use those 2 fingers, whichever is most comfortable for you. And you're going to do 30 compressions, and this is about how hard you're going to do them. Cross, center, compressions that hard. When you're doing compressions, you want to make sure your fingers are always in contact with their chest. You don't want to raise your fingers up and then go back down. When you're doing compressions, you also want to make sure that the chest fully expands as well. So then try it. There you go. Perfect.
You want to let her head back, or?
Well, you want her nose facing the ceiling.
So just about like that?
About like that, yes, sir.
Okay.
So you'll do 30 compressions at the rate of 100 a minute. Once you've done 30 compressions, you're going to give 2 breaths. And when you give your breaths, your mouth is going to cover her nose and her mouth. And you're going to give 2 breaths, about a second each. Go ahead and try it.
Put my mouth on that thing?
Yeah, they're clean. I wash them with bleach. Make sure your mouth covers her nose and her mouth.
Yeah.
So once you've given your 2 breaths, that was 1 cycle of CPR. The one thing you want to make sure when you give your 2 breaths, you want to get chest rise. You want to see her chest move. If you give 2 breaths and there is no chest rise, reposition her head and try it again.
So if her chest doesn't come up after
you give a breath, if her chest doesn't come up, reposition her head and try it again.
Okay, and then go back to
the compressions, right? Because with babies, their head is large in proportion to their body. Sometimes their heads are pushed too far forward and it'll cut off their airway. So you want to make sure that their head is facing the ceiling. So that was 1 cycle of CPR. After you give 2 breaths, go right back to compressions, do 30 compressions, give 2 breaths. When you've done 5 cycles, if you're by yourself, take her to the phone with you, call 911, tell them you're doing CPR, and unlock the front door. That way they can come right in while you're doing CPR. And you can continue doing CPR until either help arrives, or if she wakes up screaming and crying, then you can stop then as well.
Could you put your hand like over?
It probably would be better just to put your mouth over her nose and her mouth. Yeah.
What if you have one of those things that go over their mouth?
If you have one of those, you could use that as long as it fits correctly.
I got one.
Yeah, it's handy.
Yeah.
Carry it in the pocket.
I can put it in the back of the
The next thing we're gonna, you have any questions about that? Okay. The next thing we're gonna cover is choking, and if she's choking on a solid object, like a toy, a grape. I have 3 kids and I've had to do this to my youngest, because when you have older kids around, they always leave stuff on the floor. The little baby will put it in her mouth and choke. So if you notice that she's choking and it's a solid object, what you're gonna do is you're gonna do back blows. So you're gonna have her straddling your arm, support her head, your hand, head face down, and you're gonna do 5 back blows. You're gonna use this part of your hand.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to do. I'm holding your call.
You're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna do it pretty hard because you want her to cough it out. So you'll give 5 back blows. If she's still choking, turn her over, and you're gonna do 5 chest thrusts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trying to get her to cough it out. The one thing you don't want to do is put your finger inside looking for it, because you may push it further down in. So you're gonna do 5 back blows, 5 chest thrusts until she coughs it out. And with my little boy, I think I did like 3 back blows and he coughed it right out. It was a great. If they go unconscious while they're choking, then you start CPR and call 911. If you're sitting down like that, which is probably the easiest way to do it, just rest her on your leg, have her head face down a little bit more. 5 back blows, usually they'll cough it right out.
Face down?
Right, face down, head down, just like that.
Sorry, your party on hold is disconnected.
Man, I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt her.
You won't hurt her. Because you want her to cough it out, you need to get that out.
No, not like this.
No.
Oh, baby, get it out of there.
And then for your older child, if you have to do CPR, it's the same steps. Like if she's unresponsive, she'll be too big for you to hold, but you'll have her on the floor. You're gonna do 30 compressions, but using your hand. You'll give 2 breaths. Your mouth won't be able to cover her nose and her mouth, so you'll hold her nose, give her 2 breaths. You'll do 5 cycles and then call 911. Same exact steps.
Even on, the bigger kids, you would do, because we have 2 bigger kids too.
Over the age of maybe 8, then you'll use 2 hands. It really depends how big the kids are, but usually over the age of 1, you'll use 1 hand. Over the age of 8, 9, you'll use 2 hands.
But still 30 and 2.
Correct, same exact thing, 30 and 2. But in here you have little cards for CPR with diagrams, but it also has CPR for children on here as well. So it's infants and children. A CPR book, some more CPR sheets with diagrams here, poison control hotline, and then the information about choking as well.
When I was in school and they were teaching me how to do CPR on an infant, instead of giving like full breaths, they told you to give like, you can catch your breath and blow in your mouth. You just do like 2 of them.
Correct, and you don't want to give like a full breath because of course, full breath would be too much. You just want to give enough to get some chest rise. All right. I'll put that back in there for you. There you go. That's for you. All right. And Sherry will bring out Kendall in a minute, okay?
All right.
All right.